What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Anthony Evans, COM, coming to you live. That's right. Anthony Evans, COM, and in conjunction with 1,000,010. We are here today talking to Enrique Corredor. He is the managing partner and head of equity acquisitions at BTG Pactual. Pactual.
That's it.
Okay, good. I had to get it right. Okay,
Got
good.
it right.
So, welcome. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Anthony.
So, you just got finished talking with us, and we really appreciate you coming out talking to the class. You came down from New York and you spoke with the class about what you do, investment banking.
That's right.
And so the kids loved it. You were impressed with the kids, and I just want to thank you on mic. I was going to say on camera, but we're not on camera. I want to thank you on verbally that I really appreciate it. And so the first question I'd like to ask you is, why did you get into investment banking, and what was the path that it took you to get there?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Anthony. It was really a roundabout path. It wasn't a direct A to B path. It was more like A to B to C to D to all of a sudden a Z.
Right.
And so I guess as a kid, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't have professors or teachers like yourself
We appreciate
teaching
that.
you real-world skills in high school. I took the prerequisite literature classes and the history classes, but I never really took a class on the business world, so I never really knew what that was.
Right.
So when I left high school and went to college, I thought I wanted to become a doctor, like a lot of kids do. And I went through all the classes and a lot of the curriculum to go get into the pre-med program. And it wasn't until I did an internship in a hospital that I realized that wasn't for me. Medicine wasn't for me. So when I graduated from college, I'd geared towards medicine and realized that wasn't where I wanted to go.
Right.
So for that 1 year right after college, I went to the University of Maryland and took 3 classes that I'd never taken before. Macroeconomics, Business 101, and I took a class on stats. And that's when I realized that this is what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so I after leaving the University of Maryland, I started applying to consultancies, to the various financial accounting firms, to various companies in the finance department, and eventually I got a job with KPMG.
Oh, I worked with KPMG.
Did you really? Yeah.
I did. Were you? I was on the consulting side.
I was on the consulting side as well.
Oh, okay.
On the
What year were you
public
there?
Services. I was there.
I was on public services.
Yeah, I was there from 1995 to about 1999. Yeah.
You know what?
Down on M Street. Yeah.
Okay.
2001 M Street.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I was in. We were in Clarendon.
Okay.
And then I think I came along maybe just slightly a little later
Yeah.
than that, and then we moved out to Tyson's Corner.
Tyson's Corner.
Yes.
That's right.
So that's cool. We
Yeah,
were
that was
both
the,
KPMGers.
There was that spin-off, right?
Yes.
When the consulting spun off and became Bearing Point, I think
That's
it
right.
was.
Well,
That's right.
later on they renamed themselves
Yeah.
to Bearing Point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
because of that, I think it was some conflict of
Yeah.
people were confusing the tax and audit side with the consulting side. Yes.
That's right. So when I was there, I loved what I was doing, and we're basically advising state and local governments on managing, let's say, their costs.
Right.
And I realized that at that point that I wanted to maybe go a little further beyond just that type of advice. And I wanted to advise companies on how to buy and sell each other, how to raise capital.
Right.
Because I realized that the growth of a company started and ends with raising capital.
It's all about the money.
It's all about the money. So that meant investment banking.
Right.
And so, as you know, it's a competitive field to break into. So I had to go back to business school, and I ended up going to Columbia Business School in New York.
Okay.
And interned at UBS Investment Bank in New York that summer. And I ended up working there full time, and that's how I broke into investment banking.
Nice. So how would you recommend someone who is maybe in high school, who may end up going to college? How do you recommend them? What should they major in college, and then what should their path be?
Yeah. So
For investment banking.
Yeah. So that's a good question, and people ask that question all the time. I guess before even addressing what the right steps are, you really have to have a passion for it.
Right.
And it's always strange because kids at this age, they're not going to have a passion for investment banking.
Right.
And so I really don't know many kids who want to be investment bankers the first year in college.
Right.
But looking back, what would I have done differently? Knowing that I developed that passion later in life.
Right.
I think majors in college help a lot, right? The right major. So, for example, if you major in accounting, or you major in business, or you major in economics, that sets you apart from other kids who maybe majored in other things that didn't have a direct, let's say, a connection to investment banking, like, I don't know, history major.
Right.
I was a history major.
Right.
So I had to catch up to all of my fellow, let's say, applicants who had majored in business or majored in accounting, right? So that's the first thing.
Sure.
The second thing I would advise is get summer internships. It doesn't have to be in an investment bank.
Right.
But it should be, hopefully in some business or some company. Start at the very bottom.
Right.
Be an intern, be an admin guy. Answer phones or send out, or organize mail or organize databases. Start at the very bottom, the first internship.
Right.
Second internship, the next summer you can do something a little bit better. And then finally, by your third internship, hopefully you will have landed a job at an investment bank as a summer intern in college.
Great.
Super, super important that you get those summer internships. And then finally, get good grades. You have to have good grades. It's a competitive field. And if you've got the right major and you have the right internships and you have the right grades, you'll be in a good position to land a job in investment banking.
Nice. Okay. So during your talk during class, you mentioned the skill sets. I think you said something like, go to college to learn skill sets that will help you make money.
That's right.
And so can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's funny. I think sometimes nowadays kids go to school or college just to say they went to college.
Right.
Or to make their parents proud, or to make their family proud. I think it's important, but that's not the reason why you should go to college.
Right.
You should go to college to better yourself and to learn skills that are going to help you in the real world.
Right.
To make money. Or to pursue whatever passion you want to pursue if making money isn't your goal.
Right.
If you want to give back to society, learn those skills that will allow you to do so. Also in college, you develop networks. You meet people that will be friends with you for the rest of your life.
Right.
And a lot of these friends of people that you meet, maybe become future business associates or can connect you with their networks, and it builds that way. So I think going to college, just to say you went to college, isn't the right motivation. The right motivation should be to learn the skill sets to pursue the life you want to live after college.
Right. And what are some of those skill sets? Like, for example, obviously communication, writing, those things, but what are some additional skill sets?
That's a great question. At a dinner we had last night, Anthony, we were actually debating this because technology is moving so fast nowadays that I guess there's some debate. Are we teaching kids today, are we preparing them for the jobs of tomorrow?
Right.
Given the pace of the technology. I think at the end, there's a couple core skills everyone needs to have, and that is reading and writing.
Right.
You need to read well, but not just read well, you need to write well.
Right.
And writing well doesn't necessarily mean flowery language.
Right.
It means being able to diagnose information, process it, and synthesize it in very direct, clear forms of communication.
Right.
Clear communication, that's super important.
Right.
Number one. Number two, math skills.
Right.
Some people always say that it's their least favorite subject or it's a subject they want to avoid. You need math.
Right.
And yes, nowadays calculators or AI can do some of the math for you.
True.
But you need to have that underlying understanding of the principles. Math is super important. And finally, I think in college you also need to develop maturity and just some core values, ethics, leadership, character. Because at the end of the day, in advancing world and technology, core values will always remain a principle they need to have.
Right. That's amazing. I love it. So core values, character, ethics, leadership. You also mentioned that you want to be able to understand math, you obviously communication, and you said that you need to be able to diagnose, synthesize, and analyze data.
Yeah.
That's critical.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think is hard at the high school level, and I think it's very difficult even at the college level.
Yeah. And not just data, Anthony, I would also say ideas.
Right.
Ideas and thoughts. being able to analyze, synthesize, and put your thoughts in very clear sentences, words, super important.
Right. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so if someone goes to college and they have all the skill sets, or they're developing those skill sets that we just spoke about, and then so they go through and do the internship and do that thing, and they start at the bottom and they move up and they get this, by the time they're, summer before they graduate. So what would the average out of college investment banker, what could they expect in terms of a salary?
Yeah, so it varies. It varies by city, by investment bank, but typically I think nowadays, if I remember correctly, I think all in undergrad, I think investment bankers are now making about $150,000 straight out of college.
$150, that's nice.
And that probably includes whatever bonus that comes in at the end of the year. Because a big part of the compensation for an investment banker is your base salary, but really it's your bonus.
Right.
So when you start out of undergrad, your base salary is probably bigger than your bonus. But as you become more senior, your bonus becomes multiples of your base salary.
It flips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of banks pay a very low relative base salary. With the, let's say, understanding that it could be a big bonus if you generate a lot of revenues to your firm.
Right. Yeah. The more money you bring in, the more money you make.
That's it. That's it.
That goes the
Doesn't take a math degree to figure that out. Yeah.
So now, you mentioned that the salary's good at start.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other positives? And then after that, maybe you could touch on some of the negatives of investment banking.
Sure. No, those are good questions. So I guess the positives of investment banking, what drew me to the industry, was the idea to affect change in companies, to be able to be involved in the buying and selling of companies, or in the IPOs of companies. So for example, a couple of days ago, Uber announced they're going to do an IPO.
Right.
That's going to be a global transaction.
Yes.
To work in that transaction must be really exciting.
Yes.
Or we've seen some big transactions in the U.S. where some of the banks have consolidated and bought each other, forming these mega banks.
Right.
There's some exciting transactions. So to be involved in that is great. Plus, I think another positive is you meet really smart people. You meet a lot of these business owners or a lot of these entrepreneurs who had this idea and built these gigantic companies. Imagine advising Steve Jobs on purchasing some of the companies that he bought to grow Apple.
Right.
Interacting with them. I mean, these are fascinating people, and you learn a lot from these people. So that's another positive. And finally, it's in a lot of cases you get to see the world.
Right.
It really is a global job. As the global economies grow and kind of intertwine, you're involved in that. And so you'll be doing transactions cross-border all the time. So those are positives. You get to see a lot of the world. What are the negatives? It's a big time commitment, and it's really long hours, especially when you start out.
Right.
So you don't have a lot of time for your family. You don't have a lot of time for your friends. You don't have a lot of time for your own personal, let's say, interests, hobbies, things like that. So it goes back to what I said at the very beginning. If you don't have a passion for investment banking, it's going to be very tough because you have to sacrifice a lot of your time. That's number one. I think another negative that some people would point to is it's a high stress environment because these transactions are happening very fast. You're competing not only with other banks, but you're also competing with other, let's say, entrepreneurs and companies that are trying to beat you to, the target,
the M&A or something,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so, because of that competitive framework, you're on call all the time. So you're checking your BlackBerry, your phone, actually BlackBerry no more. But
right. I was going to say, wait, are you kidding? No, you have an iPhone, right? He doesn't have a BlackBerry.
I wish I did. I missed those keyboards.
They were nice.
I missed those keyboards.
Yeah.
But so you're always on call.
High stress,
and so it's I think a lot of people don't last very long in the industry.
Wow.
Because of the long work hours, the high stress, and just not being around your family.
Right.
You have to sacrifice at some point your personal life or your professional life.
Right.
And so I think those would be some of the negatives.
Okay, so negative in terms of time, high stress, and then obviously.
And I would say another negative would be a big negative would be it can be really, let's say, disappointing. On some of these transactions, for example, you'll work on an M&A, and M&A can take 2 years and it doesn't close.
Right.
So you would have spent 2 years of your life working on a deal that never closed.
Right. And then if it doesn't close, you don't get paid.
And then you don't get paid. So not only do you not get paid, but you just lost 2 years where you could have been doing other things.
Right.
Being with your family, or being, with your friends, or working on a deal that would have closed.
Right, right.
So that frustrating aspect of investment banking is not all deals close.
Right. So that's great. So how do you deal with that frustration? I mean, you work on something for 2 years, and then there's no guarantees here.
Yeah, no guarantees. Right? I think the way you look at it is you always have to look at the positive lining, and so maybe you look back and say, what did I learn?
Right.
What did I do wrong?
Good.
What could have I done differently, or what elements of this company that I was advising or trying to buy, what elements of that company should have signaled that this transaction was tough to complete.
Right.
So you go back and you do a post-mortem and you
Good.
look and you see, what could I have done differently? What could I have done better? Like everything in life, with adversity,
Right.
there are lessons, and I think there's some benefit in that.
Awesome. So you have to learn and grow, apply, and move forward.
That's
and
it.
Don't repeat the same thing.
I like that concept.
Okay, well, I know you have to get it. Look, I really appreciate it. Let me just take one moment and see if there's anything else that I would like to ask
Sure
you.
thing.
So we talked about accounting being the language
Accounting,
of...
yes. I mean, finance. I mean, everything in investment banking starts and ends with accounting.
Right.
It's the language of finance.
Right.
And, part of what investment makers do is they look through a company's financial statements.
Right.
That's basically reading accounting. And the truly, let's say, masterful investment bankers will read between the lines.
Absolutely.
And identify, let's say, potential issues or potential, let's say, assets, or they'll read a company's story in the financial statements in a way that someone else won't see.
Right.
And that just takes a strong, let's say, knowledge of accounting to be able to do that.
Right.
And I think that's super important is accounting. It all starts and ends with accounting.
Okay, and we have an accounting program here at Wilson. We have a entrepreneurship program here at Wilson, and we have a wealth club here at Wilson.
I tell
so
you,
what would you tell, if you were in high school, where would you be?
Well, Anthony, I tell you, and I mentioned this to you before, when I first came to your class, I wish I had something like this when I was in high school.
Right.
I think it could have maybe saved me some time.
Yes.
If I had known how much I would have gravitated towards the business world
earlier,
maybe I would have made some life choices earlier.
Right.
And I wouldn't have wasted some time in college, pursuing medicine.
Right.
So I just, I'm really, let's say, happy that this is what you guys are offering here at Wilson. My nephew goes here. And the moment I saw the curriculum at Wilson, I said, you need to be taking these classes right now.
Great.
So,
that's awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much. So you've been 20 years, have you been 20 years in investment banking or all 20 at BTG?
No, so it's been 10 years at UBS.
Okay.
And then the last 10 years I've been at BTG Pactual. We're basically a carve out of UBS.
Okay.
During the financial crisis that hit Wall Street in 2008,
right.
We basically spun off and created our own little bank.
Nice.
And so our only focus is Latin America.
Okay.
And so we only work with companies in Latin America.
Okay.
And we bring Latin America to the rest of the world and the rest of the world to Latin America.
Nice. Okay.
Investment dollars and ideas, and so that's our focus.
Right. And then one last question.
Sure thing.
Your largest deal was?
Right. It was in Chile, public transaction. It was a $6 billion capital increase for a company called Enersis.
Right.
It's a Chilean, actually pan-Latin American utility company.
Okay.
Owned by the Italians in Enel and the Spanish at Endesa at the time. Mm-hmm. And so they contributed capital and assets to grow this company. And yeah, it was a landmark transaction for us.
Wow. And it was what? Some billions?
Yeah, $6 billion. Yeah,
wow.
in total.
That's $6 billion with a B. Well, thank you, Enrique. I
Thank
am
you so much, Anthony.
happy for you.
Yep.
I'm happy for your success, and I appreciate you coming out and enlightening our student body. And hopefully, I think that we may get an investment banker out of this deal.
Well, I was impressed with some of some of your students here, Anthony. Particularly some of the ones that seemed a little quiet at the very beginning.
Right.
Yeah, there's some hidden talent here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Okay. Thank
All
you so
right.
much,
Have
Anthony.
a great train ride back to New York City.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay.